Hello, I am a student at Harmony School of Advancement. Today, I'll answer this driving question. Do the clay, silt, and sand percentage composition affect the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and pH levels in the soil? In this video, I'll explain the composition of soil and its properties, and how the chemical properties of soil can be determined through luster leaf rapid tests. The physical properties of soil consist of color, texture, structure, porosity, density, consistency, and temperature. In contrast, chemical properties of soil consist of phosphorus levels, nitrogen levels, trace metals, cation exchange capacity, electrical conductivity, enzymes, organic matter, and carbon and pH levels. Soil has various properties that determine its fertility and sustainability. If soil were deficient in nitrogen, vegetation wouldn't be able to create proteins, DNA, or essential amino acids required for protein synthesis and growth. Soil needs a neutral pH of 7 to grow appropriately. It also involves potassium, which is critical for plant growth and potassium. It is also involved in the creation of proteins and the production of ATP. Adenosine triphosphate, also known as ATP, is an organic substance that is essential for the regulation of photosynthesis. The composition of soil consists of three major components. These components are sand, silt, and clay. In most soils, sand is the most significant component, or a great percentage of the soil. We recorded our process and activities through journal entries for our ELA component. In class, we discussed the soil components and properties and their significance to the ecosystem and environment. As a class, we discussed the different properties that could be tested from the soil, the three significant components of dirt, and how to use the soil pyramid to determine the type of soil based on the percent composition of the soil. We collected soil from outside our schoolyard. Our group used a shovel to take a small sample of dirt from the school entrance and pour it into a small cup halfway to leave room to add water to the cup for testing later on. We let the soil sit on a countertop to settle and separate between the three soil components of clay, silt, and sand. After letting it sit for a day, we returned to the classroom to see if the soil had separated into different components. Then we had to measure and calculate the percent composition of the soil for our sample. We used a ruler in class and took pictures to upload to our PBL website later. Once we were done measuring and recording our data, we used the percent composition formula to calculate the percentage of silt, clay, and sand in the soil. We set up our soil and made sure not to shake it. We filled the testing containers with mud up to the indicated line for each test, and then filled the rest with water. Then we brought out the capsules needed for each test, cracked them open, and let the powder fall into the new soil solution. Then we all took turns shaking the testing container vigorously to ensure that the powder gave accurate results when mixed with the soil. We let the test sit in the classroom for a full day. Once the days were over, we took pictures of the results on the container. Our group discussed the results and why most of the results were low in levels of nutrients. We concluded that the soil was deficient in potassium because we collected the soil from a dry, less dense vegetation area. For our social studies component, we discussed how soil nutrients are essential for society today. Soil is an important aspect of our world. It is a part of life and what makes the world as we know it. It is also an integral part of farming. Soil has different nutrients like potassium, phosphorus, pH, and nitrogen, which are essential to the growing of crops. These nutrients help in regulating water pressure, reproduction, and growth in crops that are vital to us today as a society. These nutrients, specifically potassium, can also help crops be more resistant to diseases and pests. The nutrients pH helps with reactions involving soil as well as processes that can affect the overall nutrient availability of soil. Nitrogen is essential for the natural growth of crops. These nutrients are vital parts of soil in our world since they make sure that we have healthy crops. Thank you for listening. This is Harmony School of Advancement.